Okay, well, welcome. I'm Anglicare's community chaplain based in Liverpool, in the Liverpool area there. My name is Stu Woods. I'm a father of two adult sons. I'm married to the lovely Trudy for 24 years. I'm also a life member of a Christian motorcycle club called Ambassadors. So we fly colours and all that sort of stuff. You may have noticed a big chunky ring on my hand, that sort of thing. Normally would have rocked up on my motorcycle today, except it's in the shop. And I'm having withdrawal symptoms at the moment. It's been 2 weeks. So anyway, as a family, we've been attending St Luke's Liverpool since we moved into the Liverpool area when we first got married, way back in 1997. And you might not think it looking at my head, but I'm an ordained Anglican minister. I'm currently employed at St Luke's 2 days at the moment. And as of the 1st of April, I'm told it's not an April Fool's joke. It's actually, I'm going back to 3 days a week pay with St Luke's, which is just awesome. And I spend 2 days a week being paid by Anglicare as well. So you'll have in front of you, hopefully, some printed questions on a page. What I'm hoping is somewhere between listening to me and going, aha, that's an interesting thing, and writing it down. So they've got some different questions there. And we're going to, at the very end, do a little bit of a brainstorming session with the bits of butcher paper and some pens and things. I think if you write down some of the things that we're talking about today on here, that will help you when we brainstorm at the end. All right, and there'll be questions also at the very end. So I'm trying to stimulate ideas for you and your church to consider, doing to reach people for Christ, in short. So back in 2011, 2012, I was actually an Anglicare prison chaplain, as we used to call them. Now we call them justice chaplains. I'm not sure if that's a step forward, but anyway, that's what they are called now. And I was learning the ropes as a newbie under a friend of mine who's now ordained as well, Rev Steve House. And he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Bill. Now, I'm being generous when I use the word gentleman, because if I describe him for you, he was missing teeth, he had old jail tats, all starting to spread, because he was a grandfather now, and he had some tats here down his face and whatever, and his relaxed stance was like this. That's how he was talking across the table. Anyway, this conversation was had inside MRRC, which is the Metropolitan Regional Remand Centre in Silverwater. Where the tables and chairs are part of they're bolted to the ground and things like that. And there's two floors of cells around me, and this is sort of the open area indoors. They call them an accommodation pod. So we're sitting, that's the context. And so this guy, Bill, was asked by Steve, tell Stu what you told me the other day, and he jogged his memory. And so Bill said something like this. So when I'm on the outside and I want to go to chapel, and realising I was a newbie, he goes, oh, I mean church. He said, sometimes I'll drive in the car park. And I'll go, no. And drive off. Other times, he'll drive in the car park and walk in the foyer and go, no. And I said to him, brother, what stops you? And he said straight away, fear. I'm like, wow, this guy must be saved. Doesn't look like he fears anything, you know. But, you know, he said fear. And I said, brother, fear of what? And he goes, fear of rejection. And it was without hesitation. And so I wonder, how do you think Bill might have gone if he rocked up at your church last Sunday or this Sunday? I wonder. Would it have been a good greeting or a bad greeting? I wonder why. Why good? Why not good? Or maybe there's another dynamic going on, and that is Bill might not have really been ready to come in any further to church. So, that's a longer story. Won't go there. but people have their hang-ups of why they won't, engage in church or come in or whatever. Initially, sometimes it takes them quite a long time to plug in and open up a little bit. Sometimes. Anyway, we're just going to watch a short little video from Peter Lynn, one of the bishops in the area, on mirroring Jesus.
Yeah, I'm Peter Lynn, and I was at St Barnabas Fairfield Bosley Park for 18 years. I think that our Anglican churches in Sydney have generally done a really good job reaching the middle class. Most of our churches, I think we could fairly categorise as middle class. The problem is there are a lot of people in our city that are not middle class, and Jesus very much had a view to those that are less fortunate than we are, and called on his people to look after them and to take care of them, and especially those amongst the household of faith, amongst believers. It's very interesting that when Jesus gathered his 12 disciples around him, they certainly weren't middle class people. They were fishermen. There was even a tax collector amongst those. And we've got to understand, tax collectors back in Jesus' time were actually, they're probably doing all right, but they were actually generally hated people. But yeah, Jesus collected people around him and gathered people around him that were not necessarily, in fact, many of them were not well off. They gave up everything to follow Jesus. And so, it certainly is a challenge for our churches to mirror that same heart of Jesus, to reach those that are marginalised and certainly reach those that are less fortunate than we are. And how great would it be, to sit in church together with people from all different walks of life, including people who may have been blessed by more and people that haven't been blessed as much, and even better to see them sharing.
Again, here we go. One of the reasons how or why someone might end up coming to church. What do you think? Just throw one out there. What might bring someone to church? Another way of saying it.
There might be some family crisis.
Yep. Just the basics. Ticking the boxes. Yep. Funeral. Or weddings. That's right. What's the other one? Baptisms. That's right. Yep.
Wanting their children to go to Sunday school.
Yep. And not really knowing why. Unless they just want them out of their house for Sundays. Friday nights, That's right. Yep. I picked up an expression from someone that feel free to borrow this one. I'm borrowing it. So you've done life your way so far. How's that working for you? And when they're coming to get help at a mobile community pantry or come to church for all the other reasons you're speaking about, it's just a way to prompt them to go, maybe I need to redo how I'm doing life. So other reasons I wrote down, there could be a church activity that's attracted them in. We run a car and bike show once a year at St Luke's. So we're blessed right in smack bang in the middle of Liverpool CBD. Praise God for Lachlan Macquarie, the governor, putting the church where he did in CBD. What a blessing that is. And of course, there's some people just literally just wander in and they're lost. Just lost. And it's like God somehow has led them to wander in. And they couldn't even tell you why they're there. All sorts of different ways. And of course, some will come in, mate, you get $10. We get a lot of that in Liverpool. Do you guys pay bills? All that sort of stuff. So I thought, what might a newcomer at your church experience on your church's worst day of welcoming? What do you think? They're not made to feel? Oh, okay, they are. Well, excellent. Okay, your church is doing things really, really good then. On your church's worst day. I'm sort of saying, on sometimes, the favourite welcomer is actually away on holidays, right? That's what I mean by the church's worst day, when that person who maybe everyone just left the welcoming to isn't there that day. And a new person walks in, what are they going to experience?
On the worst day, they'll be ignored.
Potentially ignored? What was that again? Sorry? Excellent. Awesome. Yep. No, that's welcome. That's brilliant. That's going really well. What other things might someone experience at their church on your church's worst day?
We had this just a couple of weeks ago that hurry up and drink coffee because I need to cut
To a new person. Yep. We've had at St Luke's, we've got the fixed pews, right? Heritage building, right? Sorry, can't sit here. It's my seat.
Oh, yeah, we had that.
Yeah. So this is what I mean, right? Worthwhile thinking through, is there any way you can navigate that space, right? Training. And of course, you can't avoid people's mental health. They're having a bad day, they might just sort of go, my day sucks, or whatever it is, and so is mine, that's why I've come here, but now I might leave because that's such a negative greeting, And I was going to be here in my full colours if I had my motorcycle. So I got full leathers and, flying colours and everything else, and a big black bike would have been parked out the front there. If someone like me just rocked up to your church on a Sunday, okay, I wonder what your church would do. To call someone? Yeah. Don't ask me about my experience at Moore College. No, you ask me later. Yeah. It's a good, funny story. And sad at the same time. Yep. Yes. There's every chance I know the guy. Yeah, especially if he's a big guy. Nope. Okay. There's one guy that serves a lot of the churches that ticks that box. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, because they're socially unaware. They get a bit inside the 3 feet space, and you want to back off from them. They're just unaware. Yeah. So there's all sorts of dynamics that happen that everyone's used to in their comfy church if they've been there for a while. Okay. And that's one of the things I want to ask too. I wonder if you've been part of your church for a very long time, what you just might be, because of that, blind to. What is unwelcoming. And it could be everything from, the lawns are too long. Yeah, sorry, brother. We'll blame the rains and no one was available. I get it. Okay. But no, it's one of those things, right? It's one of those things. It might be resurrecting the rosters again. Okay, so look, years ago, I experienced firsthand when one of my best mates bravely took up my invitation to go to his local Anglican church. So I went along with him, and I'm pretty sure it was his first visit there. And the gentleman that was the welcomer, probably a little bit overexcited. Maybe my first mate was the first new person they've had in a long time, or something. Now, his heart was in the right place, but if it wasn't for my wife and I being there, I'm not confident that my mate would have stayed. It was smothering. No, it wasn't. It was more than "G'day, mate, how you going?" sort of stuff, and then it stayed with us the whole time. And then after coffee, and it was overzealous. He was excited. I get it, but it was ultimately not welcoming. It was over welcoming. So they had that dynamic as well. Now, newcomers often have an expectation of being welcomed in some way, and some don't. Sometimes they just want to come in like they're invisible, investigate, and leave.
I've had one guy who said, it's a lovely church, I like it a lot, but people are too friendly.
Too friendly. Yeah, there you go. What a bad church you are. Too friendly, that's classic. But still, you have to think through that. There's all sorts of things that we take for granted And one of those things is, especially if you're in a church, your church is in a needy area, and the car park, and I don't know what you do about this, but this is one of those dynamics that people don't realise. A whole bunch of SUVs and Mercedes and BMWs in the car park, and if you're from the Houso area, okay, that's like, oh, these aren't my people. I don't know what you do about that, but it's one of those things to think through, right? So, of course, and there's the usual things. Whenever you're into a new crowd, you come on in and everyone's catching up from last week and how's work, and they're in the little huddle, and body language is saying, well, don't come into our huddle, we've got a little tight huddle going on here. I'm catching up. And so the new person's standing around like a shag on a rock going, I don't think I'll even waste time finishing my cup or I'm gone. What I want us to all think about all the time on a Sunday is, are we being welcoming? Is there something that can be changed, modified, someone that can be encouraged to maybe do what they're doing differently, so the end result is as many people as humanly possible can feel welcomed, all right? So one of the things you might want to do is get on the front foot, that is, about this, and consider a welcome pack. Now, I wonder if you guys feel welcome about the welcome pack you received from Anglicare today. It's nice having a few little things like that, especially if it's your first time. I've seen churches do all sorts of different ways. They give them little vouchers for a free coffee down the road or a discount thing, all sorts of things, little gifts, or, don't go over the top, but it's something you want to be able to give a new person each time. It could be a tract or 2 ways to live. You just got to be creative on this. Now, on that piece of paper I've got provided for you, is some of those things that as we're talking here, I know, we're getting great conversation, but some of it will fall out your head. Write some of these things down that you don't already know. Okay, that's probably the simplest way of jotting something down. Think about this too. As churches get a little bit hip and groovy and go all computerised and electronic, and there are people who can't fill out forms, either on paper or electronic. Maybe they can do paper ones, but they can't do electronic. They might need someone's help there. The welcomer should be helping someone through those sorts of things, and of course, pride might have them sort of, no thank you, I'm okay, and they'll take the form and never fill it out because they're too embarrassed to show that they can't write and things like that. And the other thing is too, some people are really private. On their first visit, what do you mean you want my name and number and my surname and my address and my email? What? What if I get hacked? Some people are paranoid. So you need to be okay with getting a first name, maybe an initial, or just, that'll do, Just let them come in, have their first day without being bombarded with things, right? And there are things like your church flyer. So in your bag there, you would have got our current church flyer at St. Luke's. And I created this because our church didn't have anything. We got so many things running, and this is not us showing off. It's just like, man, I'm on staff and I can't remember everything, the times and dates. But I can go and grab the current one of these and show anyone anything that's going on during the week. And because of where we are, and we've got a couple extra buildings, we have community groups coming in like Gamblers Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous that aren't directly part of the church, or we open the local hall to them. Well, they should be in there because your church is providing a service to the community. And what if one of the congregation is struggling with alcohol, right? Usually the people, addicts, struggle with saying, hey, yeah, I'm an alcoholic outside an AA meeting, right? So, putting everything down on here and keeping this up to date, I think is really, really crucial. And all the things that I'm involved with are all on the back. And I've got one of those little, excuse the crassness, square bird turds. These are QR codes that we're all sort of getting used to now. That's, if you look at that, don't do it now, you'll be distracted. That'll take you to a website where I've got a whole bunch of helpful things. You can check that out later on, of course, and all the church services and things on the front there. So, obviously that would need to go into a welcome pack. And I see Minchinbury Anglican have welcome cards, and you can get some basic details off them and that sort of thing here. So that's another clever way of doing welcoming in a kit or in a little thing you hand them. And print them in colour if you can. I know it costs more, brother, but print them in colour for the newbies. For the regulars, they should be able to deal with black and white, surely. But, think about how you can just be a little bit more presenting. You think of everything that comes through the mailbox, how it's screaming at them in bright colours and things. Don't want to be lost in the noise. If you walk in with a sort of fresh set of eyes into your church next time and go, what is a newcomer going to notice? Yeah, smiling, that sort of thing. How's the building looking? I know there's a church at St Hilda's. Is that your church, Steve, still? No, it's not. Hey? Katoomba. Yep. So it's Katoomba St Hilda's. I'm not sure if you've ever been there. It's a Blue Mountains church on the main strip there. They had one of those entries that it was like this, and the stained glass window, and you came in the side. So if you're walking down the street, wouldn't even know if the door was open, anything was happening. So they got approval, and it was hard, but they got the approval they needed, and they completely redid the front end. So that whole front part is glass doors. So you walk down the street, you don't have to go around a corner and, someone going to grab me around a corner here or whatever. And they open out too. It's really welcoming. And they have a festival, Winter Magic Festival, runs once a year. All sorts of interesting people out the front. A ukulele festival, I haven't heard of that one, but all those things, whatever happens out the front, they're saying they're really welcome to as a church, right? And you're stuck with the buildings you get, I suppose, but you think about is there something we can do with the front end of our church to make it more attractive, They're just ideas. Now, I've got some stuff I want to show you that we're involved with. There we go. Okay, so this is out the front of my church, St Luke's in the middle of Liverpool. On the mall, we've got this fence that is sort of basically unwelcoming. Okay, so I've got these signs out the front. That's facing the local bus stop. We've got signs facing the mall, okay, as well. And just that capture people's attention. And so behind it is the church sign, but most people would have to be looking through bars to actually pay any attention to that sign. But these things, just that little bit, just get it out there somehow. Find another way to reach people. Now, this is a church that I run called Way Out Fellowship Church. Next month, it turns 10 years old, coincidentally. I'm like, how did we get to 10 years? Wow. So it's a bridge-style church. It runs midweek on a Wednesday, at 5 p.m. Very un-Anglican, not a Sunday church sort of thing, right? It's designed to catch tradies. They can come straight from work, and we feed them afterwards. But it also captures a bunch of guys and girls that I work with. And here's an interesting thing. You might not think that you'd have a church that's 18 plus, but at Way Out, I have had registered sex offenders. A bit hard to invite them or chaperone them without it standing out at your family service. Well, here's an alternative, you see. Just trying to stimulate ideas for you. Okay, now, work and development orders. You've probably not heard of them before, except when my little teaser before. It's a government thing through Revenue New South Wales for people that can't pay their fines. So basically, people on Centrelink is the 99% of people are eligible that way. And they come not just with one fine or two fines, some come with tens of thousands of fines. I had one that was, I thought, oh wow, $24,000 worth of fines, wow, And I looked at all the different fines he had and went, okay, 19,000 from railway. No ticket, no ticket, no ticket. Feet on the seats, swearing on a platform, smoking on a platform, no ticket, no ticket, no ticket, no ticket. Wow, $19,000. Someone who just doesn't care, right? Anyway, so the 24,000 was his, and I was talking to a guy from Legal Aid. They refer people to us because obviously people are coming through the court system again, and they go, okay, so you're here for a charge of whatever. Okay, right. What about these pile of fines you haven't dealt with since you've come in last time? Probably not going to look good in front of the magistrate when you go again, right? Have you thought about getting a work and development order? And if you register your church as a WDO sponsor, then and you put a number down, then the number will start ringing. People in your area that need help to shrink their fines. So there's a stack of things there listed there. I'll run through them in a tick. But someone could come and do English classes and have their fines shrink. Now you think if you're a migrant, you're getting to know all the rules and you don't read all the signs well, okay, and English is your second language, and they need to be some loving through, English classes, and they've got a fine. Just attending the class attracts $50 an hour off their fines. So you can love them in ways that practically people don't expect, okay? Parenting courses with Anglicare, all sorts of things. I'll run through each of them, basically. All right, so work and development orders. It's a blessing of the church. So all those activities up there, guys at, so Bryce here, 2 or 3 years later, it was actually a couple of weeks ago as it turned out, I just was able to marry him to his de facto. 3 or 4 years worth of loving him, clearing fines, coming to the courses, whatever. Man, what are you going to do? You say you're a Christian, man, what are you going to do about, do the right thing with your missus and that sort of stuff? Anyway, that was awesome. Diane up there, she had a stack of fines and she loves cleaning. Great, I hate it. Woo, we need more of them in our churches, right? Okay. Yep. Mark here, one of my earliest guys, I think my first guy I ever did, just, happy to vacuum and potter all day. And no one really cares if they take a little bit longer to do it than usual, as long as they're doing something and not hurting themselves. And you can track their times. Their fine shrink doing the voluntary stuff, $30 an hour. So there's the education stuff and counselling as well. And there's the $30 an hour rate for work and development orders. And so I run this course called Sorted for Men. There are all the topics there that we cover. In short, it's everything blokes should talk about and don't. So I put it in a course. It runs 2 hours on a Monday, as it turns out, at St Luke's. It also runs at 2 other churches at the moment, Eagle Vale and Sadleir. And so that's 2 hours. Well, that's $100 every week comes off someone's fines. So you can see all the sorts of mixed heads that I get there. The gentleman just underneath where it says 4 men, that gentleman there has a Muslim background. So happy to come to and sit in on that group. I'll come back to that in a second. This is the ladies group. I just signed up a lady who has an Islamic background, has the hijab. She's got to shrink her fines. So come into the course, the ladies course. It's free, right? A lot of ladies that are coming in this group have domestic violence backgrounds. And this lady that I signed up this week, just gone, 7 years of domestic violence. Her bloke's in jail. She's got like 6 kids, okay? She's bored out of her brain during the week. She's got fines to clear. She comes along and I'm saying to her, I know it sounds arrogant, but I know you'll love the group. There are other ladies in this group that have experienced domestic violence and they're out the other side. And and she just smiled and it's going to be awesome. So hopefully she'll rock up Tuesday and plug into that. And the bottom one is that's from Macquarie Fields, where it was actually written. So the top one's at St Luke's at the moment. Now, God Stuff is a Bible study that I run after Sorted on a Monday, and it's for guys and girls. It does the same thing. It's classified as education, believe it or not. The legal aid person who was spruiking these things one day said, you're a minister? I went, yeah. Well, do you know if you run a Bible study, that classifies as education under a work and development order? And I went, come again? So what we used to call life skills courses, we now call holistic life skills courses, okay? And when they come to the Bible study, ripper, okay? Their fine shrink 50, not 15, this is 50, $50 an hour. So when they do 2 hours of Sorted and an hour of Bible study on a Monday, that's $150 a week. That's $600 a month can come off someone's big fine debt. Suddenly, $24,000 doesn't seem as daunting. I got one guy that comes. He's been coming for years. He had one fine, $34,000. Okay? He does this, and he was cleaning as well. So the place I used to work at has been cleaned spotlessly, and he's been educated, and his fines has been. He's happy. Everyone's happy. The church is happy. Parish council's happy. Everybody wins. And he's been coming to Bible study on top of that as well. And you're talking years to get to sort of when they actually take up the invitations to things. Parenting courses, okay? There's a couple up there that I work closely with, in particular. Imagine Anglicare running a parenting course here or at your local church, not down the road at the care centre or the office or whatever, or in some sort of community hall, disconnected from church. I'm a big advocate for get stuff running here, right? I'm sure every single day this week, there's multiple spaces that aren't maximised in their usage, and they could be. Maybe start a conversation with your PDO, your parish partnership development officer, okay, through Anglicare, and have that conversation of the things that might be able to run here. Obviously, you guys, here at Minchinbury, you've got your mobile community pantry, step one. Maybe there's some other things that you could have running here. I've got it at St Luke's for years now, once a term. Forget the COVID stuff, because before COVID, we're trying to get back to a normal. Once a term, one of the parenting courses running. They attend that. I have a relationship with the person who trains it. They send me an email. I put their hours in. That shrinks their fines as well. Okay? Some ladies end up with lots of fines. Yep, how are we going for time? Well, okay, all right, okay. I'll just, really quickly, just get creative. Whatever you got running at your church, print flyers, put up posters, go down a community notice board, the usual things. If it's helpful, get a vinyl banner or two out the front of the church. So it's something different apart from the boring sign that just falls into the background. Just stands out if you've got a particular event, maybe the Christmas, Easter things, or a carols event. Just, go think about that sort of stuff.
How do you get this working development orders at your church?
Okay, great question. No, great question. I'll give you a short version of it. In short, have a chat with me. I'm happy to sit down and have a coffee. The diocese will cover the insurances, but you've got to get copies of public liability insurance and volunteer, what do they call it, indemnity insurance. There's two things you've got to get for your church. They're not like one you just pass around. It's one for your church, ordered specifically for your church, that they require you to have. If you're going to run education or voluntary, have someone push a lawnmower around, they require you to have the protection for the people. The short version is have a conversation with me about that. And you fill out an online form to become you could Google how to become a WDO sponsor. How to become a WDO sponsor. So the church is the sponsor, and if you end up being the person who's administrating it, well then, like me, you'll be the WDO administrator. And so basically the diocese will cover the insurance, so that nightmare's okay. What you need is the right person to run either these groups or your own group. Maybe you have a course that you run, it's a cracker, and it comes out once a year. Maybe it's something you might want to consider running once a term. That's, so the Empower, the ladies course, it's a lay person that runs it. She's got a job, but she frees herself up for 10 weeks to run it once per school term. Me, I'm a bit more able, I'm available all week because I'm paid in this role. So I just run it every Monday humanly possible, okay? I find when you break groups, you lose momentum and some don't come back. So, yeah. Yep. And for what are you talking about, ESL? Are you talking about working development orders? Yeah, and look, sometimes the people don't allow you to. We're on pause at the moment with the ESL, but we should be right. We haven't had ESL running, or COVID killed it all. Yeah. But keep that conversation going with Anglicare, because they do fresh training, and someone might have come into your church to then, that's what we're doing at the moment. Anyway, look, I think that's time for us, guys. Give us a look at your, if you get to write down much. Excellent. Yep. So the welcoming video, the work and development orders, activity list of the different things that can run, that sort of thing. Yep. Awesome. What do you got, ladies? Yeah, that's all right. No, look, you could be here all day with these things, and shutting me up's half a trick. Excellent. Yep, vinyl sign out the front, coffee vouchers that can support a local business, welcome packs, newsletters with all the information, and of course, up-to-date information is very important. And yeah, the parenting courses, the guys and the girls doing the holistic program, as I call them. Yeah, great work, guys. Great work. All right, so that's that'll be time, I assume.
Quick run through on that. There was one on there with I took through what was it? Welcome pack. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a welcome pack.
Yep. They usually go out of date. Someone gets a big bee in their bonnet and they get them all done and they're all great, and then they run out. And then, yeah, so you need to...
We've always got about half a dozen on the welcome table.
Awesome. Yep. Yep. And some of those things are good to hand a Bible study group, a small group, as their project. That's what they do. They package it and they keep it up. That's their thing. Someone else can be concentrating on, is the yard looking good, and is the entry looking good, and the flowers refreshed. So everything's looking, welcoming as best as like in physical form, Yeah. Awesome, guys. I hope that was helpful.